cricket in both countries. Canada returning to ODI status after what's been a long time. Also a first ever T20 World Cup appearance, although they had to fight hard to get there, didn't they, through that qualifier in Bermuda. And a lot of this success, you've got to say, a huge amount of work being done by Cricket Canada, the Boundary North team, who are involved with the commercial aspect, but also that GT20, which is that GT20. I think there's been maybe 6 editions or 6 years of it. It's been going for 6 years, since 2018. We've had 4 editions. Obviously, the COVID pandemic wiped out a few. But how important has that been to help grow the game here in Canada?
It's been huge, and I think overall, when you look at it, it's the word that stands out to me is just professionalism and just professionalizing the sport. You look at players in this Canada squad now having full-time contracts where they can focus on the game and not have to worry about, do I have to juggle a second job? Things of that nature make such a huge difference. And then you look at the opportunities that these players get now, play in a GT20, go play in other leagues and earn money and just focus on cricket all the time.
Is one of the challenges, I suppose, it's very much a pop-up stadium they put in place. It's quite impressive, isn't it, the way they kind of it's almost a Coliseum feel to it there.
Yes.
In Brampton. The Toronto Nationals champions this year, Junaid Siddiqui, player of the series, George Munsey, one of the Associates' best leading run scorer. But I suppose, is there moves now towards, not just in Brampton but across the country, trying to get more and more permanent facilities?
I think that would be the long-term goal, where ideally you can have each franchise have their home base. Ideally, you can get to a situation where you can play night matches. Obviously, you've got a situation where right now you've got to play matches during the day because you don't have the floodlights. You want to encourage fans to come in. If you're playing on a weekday and you're playing midday, it's tough to get the fans in. And so I think those are the long-term goals that you want to aspire to.
It certainly is big news as well back in Nepal. The inaugural Nepal Premier League is going to start this year. That's going to be the 30th of November, the Festival of the Himalayas. Got to guide you through some of these team names because they're only literally being announced as we speak. 8 teams that are spreading right the way from the far west of the country. Sudhir Prashim, who is going to have, of course, Dipender Singh Airi is their marquee player, across to Karnali, Pokhara, Lumbini, Chitwan, Kathmandu, Janakpur and Biratnagar. Now listen to these team names. They're only just coming out. The fans are loving them. The Biratnagar Kings, like that. Chitwan Rhinos, of course, they've got that incredible national park there that has not just rhinos but tigers as well. The Janakpur Bolts, the Karnali Yaks, got to be the first franchise team named after a yak. The Kathmandu Gurkhas, embodying that amazing history of the Gurkhas across Nepal. The Lumbini Lions, the Pokhara Avengers, and even now the final team is also named the Sudhir Prashim Royals. So that's going to be great to see. 8 teams, November 30th through to December 21st. Would you suspect there's a couple of Canadian players looking at that going, God, I might get drafted in that?
Yeah, why not? And again, it's about having these opportunities to go and play different conditions. You mentioned, with Canada, obviously now we're coming up to the winter, so you've got to find your opportunities to play as much as you can and stay active and stay busy. It's just not the same to have to train indoors.
Who would it be if you kind of maybe had to pick 1 or 2 that might kind of be of attraction to some of those Nepal Premier League franchise teams? Would it be Kalim Sana that would stand out? Who else?
Kalim Sana, I think, would be fantastic. I think, when you look at the T20 format, all-rounders are all obviously of great appeal. So you look at Asad Bin Zafar, you look at a Harsh Thakur, I think there'd be a lot of appeal there.
Maybe Dylan Hayliger with that little bit of extra pace, hits a big ball. Kind of good all-round option.
No question about it. And then up at the top, Aaron Johnson, when he's in form,
he might be the best in the associate game.
Exactly.
Surprised to see him left out today?
Well, he's been struggling with his form, and maybe there's some things he needs to work on. And sometimes, you get that kick up the behind, and you sharpen up, and all of a sudden you come back in the next match. We know Aaron Johnson has a lot of fire to him, so wouldn't be surprised, the next time he gets an opportunity, he comes back with a point to prove.
Yeah, just going to quickly see if we can bring you the cards and guide you through what's happening in this game. We're at the halfway stage, not just of today's match, but also just past the halfway stage of the tournament. It was a flying start, wasn't it? 70-run opening partnership for Anil San and Asif Sheikh in his 50th T20I. They played with great intent. What went wrong for Nepal after that?
Well, I think it was just the manner in which the spinners came into the game and just hit the right spots. And you look at, you mentioned Saad Bin Zafar being outstanding today, and again, he was just consistent with his line, consistent with his length, and just teased the batters to do something different. And that's when you get caught up in that T20 format of always having to make something happen, and you get a couple of wickets. Harsh Thakur providing the initial breakthrough, and then you were able to skid through the new batters. It's not easy for the new batters coming in, and so I think if you're Canada, when you look at that, you say, okay, if you can get a start on this pitch, you've got to make it count.
First 6 are going to be critical, aren't they? There's the bowling figures. Really good effort from Saad Bin Safar and Harsh Thacker in particular, and wickets for Hayliger, who was expensive but actually fought back pretty well in his second over. Akhil Kumar and Parveen Kumar as well, who seems to have been a real find, a real asset for Canada. What about the points table? How do you see, is it must win for Canada today?
Effectively, I think it is. I think when you look at the situation for Nepal to go up against Oman, you look at Canada's net run rate, there's just so much for them to catch up on because of that heavy defeat. You would not, even if Oman were to pull off the upset, you would not have expected it to be as lopsided as it was yesterday. And so I think that's the issue that Canada is fighting against today, beyond just getting a result in their favor.
Well, look, it's been so great to have you with us. We know how much you've been enjoying the action, not just back in Nepal, but across North America on Willow TV, and indeed we've received messages from you all around the world. We think that this series right now absolutely hangs in the balance, and for Nepal, what's going to decide this game in the second innings? You've spoken about the Canadian perspective. What did Nepal have to do well in the second innings to try and take what would only be their first win over Canada on this entire tour?
I think the power play is going to be essential. I think if you can put Canada on the back foot, they've yet to have a good start in the power play in this series, and so if you can create that doubt, because again, they're coming in with a new opening pair. Aaron Johnson is out, so likely we'll see Dilpreet Bajwa up at the top alongside Navneet Dhaliwal, and so if you can create that bit of panic and get an early breakthrough, I think that can set the tone, and Canada will have in the back of their mind just how much they conceded in that power play.
Where do you see Ravindra Pal Singh batting in the team coming into the side? Middle order?
Absolutely. I think they'll be looking at him for some late blows and almost in that Goshen Jha role.
What's fascinating for me is going to be where and when will Nepal bowl their spinners. Is it going to be Lalit Rajbanshi to open things up, maybe alongside Karen KC? I think that could be a good option. I'm not sure of Sampal Kami's role. Will he bowl maybe outside of the power play, or is he going to bowl in the power play? But you look at all the spinning options, so let's just count these up. Sandeep Lamachane, we've got Lalit Rajbanshi, Dipender Singh Airi, who I couldn't believe he didn't bowl 4 overs the other day. 2 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 2. Should have had 2 for as well. They then also have Kushal Bertel, who's going to bowl those slightly slower leg breaks than Lamachane, Kushal Malla, and Rohit Paudel. They don't even need to bowl an over a seam if they don't want to.
No, and that's something they will look at, the way Canada went about their business. You look at the first 2 matches that Canada played, they went with Parveen Kumar up at the top alongside Kaleem Sana, and this time they changed it up and had Hayliger bowl that 1 over that could end up being the difference in this match. So they might be saying, hey, let's go with the spin that Canada didn't.
Okay, the good news is the action is just about to return. We're 3 minutes away from the start of the second innings. Don't go anywhere too far. This game, it could be a cracker.
TD is supporting cricket in more ways than ever. Because we believe Canada needs more cricket. How's that? TD, ready for you.
As a business owner, you have a responsibility to give back to your community.
We hire local and we serve local.
Breakfast program, scoop program for kids.
Seniors bus program, providing transportation to and from the store.
The all-new Nissan Kicks. Ready for whatever you're into. Get your kicks.
Seva is giving back to the community and making sure that the community is taken care of. We do a lot of that at our temples and in the Punjabi community, and that's how I see the store. It's the no-frills thing to do.
The new A&W Ruffles Crunch Teen Burger.
Let's go.
Juicy grass-fed beef topped with Ruffles cheddar and sour cream chips.
Let's go!
Try the new A&W Ruffles Crunch Teen Burger. Let's go.
The all-new Nissan Kicks. Ready for whatever you're into. Get your kicks.
Well, we're all set for this second innings. We have had a highly entertaining first one, and after a low-scoring thriller between these two sides in the first clash between them, where Canada somehow defended 123, Nepal will have to do something reasonably similar. They're going to have to defend their total of 139, but we're playing on a surface that we think is wearing and going to get more and more difficult. Welcome along for the coverage for the second innings. Andrew Leonard here. I've still got Vivek Jacob alongside me. You were right, Vivek. It's going to be Dilpreet Bajwa to open up with Navneet Dhaliwal. Is that the pairing you expected, Jeff?
Yeah, no question. I think we saw a bit of Dilpreet Bajwa opening the batting in Canada's tour of the Netherlands when Navneet Dhaliwal was unavailable due to injury. And so no surprise to see Bajwa up at the top. And he's someone that is so clean in his ball striking, won't see much movement, but he's just got such great hand-eye coordination, and he's able to get on top of the ball quite easy.
And it's going to be Karen Casey to open the bowling here from the pavilion end. One slip in place. Nepal in a flying start in their power play. Can Canada do the same? Not going to take on Rohit Paudel at mid-off. If you look at that power play there, those first 6 overs, 56 for none, by a distance the best power play of this No Frills T20 Cup. Canada, they've just been a bit shy with their opening pairings, haven't they?
No question about it, and that's where you felt like something had to give coming into this crunch game. It's effectively a must-win for Canada, and it ends up being Aaron Johnson who misses out. And so Dilpreet Bajwa getting this opportunity to move up a slot from number 3 to number 1 here.
Yeah, the other factor is going to be the fielding. We saw Nepal outstanding in the field in their 2 games thus far. I actually thought Oman were exceptional yesterday, which is something that historically they haven't had a huge amount of, as Rohan Shah tells Dilpreet Bajwa off for running straight down the wicket. You would think that we obviously saw Bajwa run out in rather farcical circumstances yesterday. You'd think that Nepal's fielders will be alive, that there could be chances on offer.
No question about it. And when you look at bowling sides that have been effective so far in this in the field and picking up their win.
Chipped in the air, and just as we're talking about outstanding fielding, just over the head of Rohit Paudel. Now the outfield, it's not the quickest, but that had just enough momentum to kiss those boundary advertisings and just tease Rohit Paudel. It will be the first boundary of the chase. It goes to Navneet Dhaliwal.
As we get a look at the replay here, swinging away, and Navneet Dhaliwal goes to the cover drive, the lofted cover drive, beats the infield, and just about makes it to the boundary rope.
One of those teasers, wasn't it? A real teaser. For those who've played cricket, it's the most frustrating thing, because you have to sprint all out 30, 40 metres, get into high gear, and then just be deprived. For basically every seamer throughout the series, what we've seen, like that Dhaliwal stroke, is anyone who gets too full tends to get punished.
No question about it. And we saw there, actually, the lack of movement worked in the bowler's favor, where you saw one swinging away and you could see Dhaliwal get after it and go over cover. And now, as that
nice length, and Bender Singh Ari can't affect the one-handed pickup. I think they would have got home anyway. You can certainly tell that Nepal know that it's crunch time. This is probably potentially where the champion of the No Frills T20 Cup is going to be decided today, this afternoon.
And it's going to be margins. It's going to be little margins. We talked about the need for Nepal to be great in the field. It's also going to be crucial for Canada to be great with their running in between the wickets. And we've seen a couple of quick singles taken in this over. And that's going to be crucial because you can't allow the dot balls to pile up in this format.
Off instead of backing up deep at mid-on. Direct hit for me would have been out, and the umpire will signal 5 to the total.
And we just mentioned the margins, fielding versus running in between the wickets. They charge off for the single there, and the throw comes in. Boy, that would have been tight, and he would have just been home. Really well done, but the bounce you can see catching Sandeep Lamichhane off guard. Canada 11 for no loss after the first over.
The all-new Nissan Kicks. Ready for whatever you're into. Get your kick.
If you haven't guessed yet, we've had a change in the commentary box. Vivek Jacob has left me for the next few overs.
I'm trying really hard to be neutral here. But
Nope.
you give me the nickname Lambu Dai. I don't know.
It's all right. I get that sometimes on air as well. We're always neutral. We love the game, but maybe we're just fond of Nepal. We want them to
I
do
love
well.
Canada too. I live here. I mean,
Lalit Rajbanshi to open the bowling. They will start with spin. We saw how brilliant Canada's spinners were, the way in which they dragged the game back. It's very unique to cricket, that, isn't it? You look at baseball, almost every pitcher is a fast pitcher in essence. I know some are better at the curveballs or the change-ups, but there is no kind of slow pitchers, are there?